call to order this meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency for Monday, May 11th at 6:52 p.m. Please call the roll.
Director Malmberg.
Here.
Director Gelada.
Here.
Director Martin.
Here.
Director Colton. Here. Chair Pereira.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Before we move on to the agenda, I'd like to request to the agency that we move item D3 to D1, if everybody's in agreement. I just noticed that the projects that we're discussing are listed on that, and it seems to be a little more logical order to discuss 3 before we move on to 1 and 2.
I agree.
Okay, we'll make that change and move on to C, consent calendar, approve renewal minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the urban renewal meeting minutes for December 8th, 2025.
I'll second.
Call the question?
Director Martin.
Yes.
Director Gelada.
Yes.
Director Malmberg.
Yes.
Director Colton.
Yes.
Chair Pereira.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Then we will move to the new agenda item D1, Urban Renewal District projects.
Thank you, Chair Pereira, directors. What you have in front of you is basically just a list of projects, and these projects have carried over from staff report to staff report, some variations, and then of course you see 2 new ones on there. Just go through them quickly. Bancus Park Fountain, which is right over here at the intersection of 5th and Checo Avenue. That's always, for the last several years, have been on a list. The idea of maybe reconfiguring it and changing it and modernizing it. Years ago, the concept of having a visitor center there rather than here was explored a little bit. We didn't really follow through with any formal designs, but the concept of it I think is fairly solid. It's you go into a community, usually the visitor center is like, here I am, where City Hall, not so much. And the other issue that has come to light most recently is, we're really struggling with office space here. We're kind of bursting at the seams. And so just an idea, just throwing it out there, that maybe that project might consider the development of a visitor center that's staffed by volunteers in the future. So that's one project. Sidewalk repairs, obviously anything downtown would fall within the urban renewal district, and we've used our history of using urban renewal money for our downtown improvements is, well, we've always done that. So this wouldn't be any different. We do have some tree wells that are uplifting some sidewalks that I think would be a good project for get some good attention, and for urban renewal to get that cleaned up. I'd hate to lose the trees, so we want to try and protect them and maybe take care of some concrete work around them, maybe put some tree grates in or something to protect them even more. We've always talked about, at least this council, most of you, we've talked about wayfinding enhancements, kiosks and theme street signs. That's been a discussion item in the past. Of course, the facade improvement program, even City Hall renovations. And we did a seismic retrofit on this project, and I believe some of urban renewal was used for that. Big picture, there was a rendering that was done, I think, in the mid-2000s that basically showed this place demolished and a whole new City Hall built here. It was quite interesting, but that would probably be probably $25-30 million, maybe more. Who knows?
Probably a few people out there that want to see City Hall demolished.
I think the great part is when you're sitting at the intersection and you look at City Hall, it looks bigger than it really is because the hospital is right behind you. It's like, wow. And of course, the Performing Arts and Community Recreation and Conference Center. That's also, it seems like every decade that's discussed. that's maybe one of the reasons why we're trying to hold on to the money, is to invest in a big project like that. The two new projects that I put on there, I want to bring to your attention, which I'll discuss later in further staff reports, is parking lot lighting at the Kid Town at Azalea Park. I don't know if you remember, we funded the development of the parking lot at the Capella with our renewal money, lighting and paving. It used to just be a gravel lot before we did that project. And that's helped, obviously, the park and visitors to the park, especially evening events. And then Pet Unleashed area amenities in both Checo Point and Stout Park. Those parks are frequently used by local residents and travelers. And I think anytime that we have opportunity to utilize funding to enhance those areas, I think it's a great opportunity. Of course, you'll know we don't have a lot of money in parks. It comes out of the general fund, and it's pretty tight for what we do there. So I think what we're bringing to you all is a proposal to help fund those projects through urban renewal. So with that, if you have any questions or any discussion you'd like to take on, or any other
Just a general comment. I know that, we don't have, one, a lot of time left in urban renewal unless it gets extended, and two, a lot of money left for big picture projects. And my personal feeling is that I would rather see the city focus on projects that make big impacts with the remaining budget. I know that Councilor Martin had discussed some opportunities, and I know there's been discussion as well about potential conference center, things like that might, bring people to town and enhance the downtown area. But I do have concern that, spending a bunch of money, spending a small amount of money a bunch of times is going to, in a way, make those bigger projects less and less possible. So not that they're not good projects, but that is my concern. If we are looking to make a big impact with each of these smaller projects, we decrease that likelihood. It's just an opinion.
Anyone else?
I agree with everything you just said. However, there's a lot that would have to happen for a conference room or a conference center or something like that to happen in 3 years. We sure don't want to get to the end of this and have a pile of money on the table. So yes, we have to balance, do we do 10 little things and give up the big thing, or we go for the big thing, but we have to get it done. So how do we progress towards these, maybe spending a little money on some design efforts so we have some things in our back pockets. The visitor center at Bankus Park, you could pick any of these. They're all great ideas, but how do we, and not overwhelm staff in doing this too, how do we make progress on a few of these items and also make progress on if it is a conference center, community center.
Sure. And we talked about this a couple of meetings ago. Lori Cooper, our city attorney, she's drafting basically a URA opinion telling us these are the things we got to do, and if we don't, this is what's going to happen. If we do, this is going to happen. So we'll have that with the timeline and all the legal ramifications of that as well. And just real quickly, I'm not trying to persuade anybody, but just when I was being interviewed here, and I look rather silly saying this, but Brooklyn told me to check in at the visitor center, and the only visitor center I thought we had was out of Chrissy Field. And so I walked in there with my suit and tie and said, I'm here for my interview. And they're like, who are you? And so anyway, because I came here several times, but I never came to City Hall. I'd never been to City Hall before. So anyway, but I felt rather silly when I did that. But I got here with like a minute to spare. So I always gave myself enough time. So anyway, but I just, like Tony said, sometimes being out of sight, out of mind sometimes makes it a little bit more. Like I say, I'm not plugging anything. I'm just telling you my silly stories.
Well, you weren't alone. My wife thought the same thing.
Did you?
Yeah. We're going to go down to the visitor center, and we're going to go down to Chrissy feel? Yep.
I know my time is short here. I would love to see a big project go through, some kind of a conference center. I think our community could benefit greatly from that. I do agree that the timeline thing, we've been talking about this forever. Everything seems really slow, but if you're sharing that we are going to have from an attorney exactly what we can and can't time-wise do, then I would love to see some kind of visitor center. To tell you the truth, I travel all over this nation, and this is the most appalling visitor center. I would never come here to the visitor center, or if I did, I would turn around and walk back up. I don't want to say that because the people that work it are amazing. I want you to know, it's not the people at all that are doing that, because their time, they do amazing work. But it is something that I think that we could improve upon if we can't do some kind of a big project, to do some kind of a visitor project that actually makes sense. Yeah, that's my 2 cents for what it's worth.
Well, I'd like to see staff put together like a letter, so this is fair, so everybody has a chance to utilize this. But we have a deadline coming up. We have to use. We have a chance to do something really special here, but there's a deadline, and interested parties that want to take that want to utilize this program that the city has to do something big, which could be removing a building and putting something else there. Maybe a private business has an idea for a visitor center, conference center, whatever, and that we want to see proposals, and we open that up where the public knows about it, and let them know that the clock's ticking and that we have to move on it, and we could do something big. And look at what Keys Bay North Bend has done. Look at what Warrenton and Hammond have done with some huge improvements to their communities, and we can make a big impact too. But I think we need to let the public know and see who steps forward with some ideas that wants to utilize these funds.
I think having Lori's written out proposal feedback is going to be huge for us to move forward with specific decisions, because if this can continue on and we can initiate a big project like a conference center, fantastic. If we can utilize some of those funds to make it happen down the road, designs or whatever. I am very interested in the Bankes Park Fountain Rehabilitation Visitor Center proposal. I'm wondering, I think that helps with 2 pieces that we've been talking about a lot. Visitors having a spot that they see when they come in. I frequent visitor centers when I go. Recently, I was in Grants Pass, went in and asked a lot of questions, found out many of the people that are in there are volunteers. They're not paid staff. They work and partner with the downtown businesses and have nights where they have a game card in the visitor center, and you go to different visitors and get, a passport stamp filled out and can enter a drawing, all kinds of creative ideas. So having something that's on a public thoroughfare where people see it. Another thing, I don't know what the thought process has been in that, but I often stop at visitor centers for the bathroom. Mm-hmm. So having something that can be easy access to visitors yet controlled, so it's not destroyed, would be food for thought. I'd love to know, if we can't move forward to utilize these funds to realize a conference center or another big project. To me, this is a big project that I don't know, maybe we have the money to do that with what's in there, and these funds are going to sunset. So maybe that is one project that is a big project that we could actually tackle and complete. That would be an aid to our local tourists. But the idea, I love Director Martin's input also on getting local proposals and finding out what kind of projects the community might want to participate in, and might be public-private partnership pieces where we provide a part, but also others in the local public contribute too. So I agree, I don't want to see us piddle away what we have in little projects. But at the same time, I want us to utilize the funds at our disposal and make the biggest impact we can with those funds.
So when are we looking at date-wise when we will have those things?
Hopefully within the next couple months, we'll have the documents in place and from Lori to be able to, so we have the established timelines and the things that we need to be able to do, so.
Can you, I don't know if you're going to address this, because we're talking about roughly $3 million between here and the next 3 years, right? I mean, with the accumulation of funds, I think it's that kind of number. What if it's 2.5? And $500,000 goes towards this list here. What, I don't know if you're going to get into that level of detail, but to address both, we have
Yeah, I mean,
the big pool of money for the, and, you know, of course, at a high level, well, what's the difference? 2.5 or 3? That's still a lot. That's still a ton of money. But
Yeah.
would that really impact the vision? I guess is probably the question. Of,
I think what's going to have to happen is, like I said, a priority list too. So we're not just, chasing every rabbit down a hole. So we can have that priority list and kind of
Yeah, one at a time, yeah.
take out some of the ones that are not going to be factors. So,
And do we, I don't know that we have the answer to this, and maybe it's a question for Lori to add to that list of things she's putting together, but I know it ends like 2029, correct?
2028, 29.
Sunsets 28, 29. So does that mean we receive funding that year also? Because yes, there's $2.5, $3 million, but we continue to receive funding each year also. So, that funding is still going to be coming in to be paying towards these
Yeah.
projects. And I would imagine that we continue to get that revenue through the end of 29. So I know those
And I'll have-
timelines are a little tricky of that revenue coming in and being expended.
I can-
does it end on a budget cycle or does it end on a date all of a sudden?
that's what we're going to.
I think that's probably why it says 28, 29 is
It's probably
our
the
fiscal
June 30,
Probably
29.
with the fiscal year.
And I can get with Lou as well, and she can help with the projections of what it should look like if we don't, utilize, between now and then, so.
Yeah.
I personally, I'm really glad to hear that, and I'm looking forward to getting that information, and personally feel like we should put a pause on spending additional funds at an urban renewal agency until we have a better handle on those hard questions that we have to answer. Instead of, this is being put in front of you, do you like it or don't you? How about this? Do you like it or don't you? Well, I think we need to be a little bit more strategic, and I think we can be more strategic once we have a lot of those questions answered, so that we can make those decisions about, are we going big on this, or do we want to address all these small things? But I think we need to have some of those questions answered first, before, in my opinion, before we vote on spending additional funds.
And I think you said, 2 months, you'll have something?
I'm hoping within the next 30, 60 days, we'll have something in your hands, so we'll have all this information.
Some quick background too of why we don't have a really nice visitor center here. We used to have a nice visitor center at Harris Beach. Do you remember that? Yeah. And then the state moved the visitor center to the border, to Crissy Field. So that was a nice visitor center and the rest area. And then the Chamber of Commerce had a really nice visitor center at the port. That was the main purpose of that. That's where the port office is now. And the port basically took over that building because it's on port property. And then the chamber, they went to the shopping center, they went to Hemlock Street, now they're where they're now. But kind of the visitor center portion of that has really declined. And that's why there's a void of a real nice, publicly visible visitor center here.
Well, and
Doing that kind of project would be city-owned and allow it to not have that kind of uprooting and have something earmarked for that going forward.
I think the void was created when the state moved the visitor center away from the city.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any more comments or questions before we move on? Then we will proceed to item D1, dog park equipment and benches.
Okay. The Parks and Recreation Commission and City Council approved capital improvement plan for parks that included dog park amenities during the 2025-26 budget cycle. The dog park amenities were originally anticipated to be funded using park system development charges. However, Parks SDC funds are more restrictive and are in need for park improvements outside of the urban renewal area, including the improvements that we're doing at Bud Cross. Checo Point Dog Park and Stout Park are both located within the urban renewal area. Because these improvements will benefit parks within the urban renewal area, staff is requesting authorization to use urban renewal agency funds for the dog park amenities. This funding shift would preserve Parks SDC funds for eligible park projects outside of urban renewal area where urban renewal funds cannot be used. The proposed improvements include dog park equipment from Dog Be Gone It, and 2 benches. These amenities will enhance park usability, support recreation opportunities for residents and visitors, and improve public facilities within the urban renewal area. Staff is recommending approval of URA funds in the amount of $24,954 and some change for the purchase of dog park equipment and benches for Checo Point and Stout Park. And I've attached the quotes, some pictures of what we're going to do. Any questions?
I just have a question for Councilor, or for Director Malmberg. So I appreciate your comment about pausing the spending on this until we know what we're doing. I also, these 2 projects that are being presented tonight, I think are good projects. And it's a relatively small amount of money, about $50,000 between the 2. But I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that sum of money, or if you'd rather hold off.
I personally, I agree with you on both of those. I think they're great projects. I think a lot of the things that we discussed are all good projects, and I'm glad that the city's done the legwork into preparing these estimates for us. And nothing against dogs. I love my dog, and I probably love yours too, because I love almost everybody's dog, almost. But I do feel like, and I would like to make a motion just to pause. Even if it's only a month or 2, until we have all the information before we make a decision on this. That's how I would feel about it. It's not that it's a no, and it's not that it's a bad project. It's just that personally feel like I would like the agency to have all of the information before making more decisions on it.
Dr. Malmberg, I totally agree with you as well. I would love to see maybe somehow where the city does some kind of a fundraiser for the dog park. When we're talking about that kind of money, that could be something that could be put out there where the community gets a part of that. But as far as our urban renewal funds, because it has taken so long to get to this place, that I would be really disappointed if all of a sudden we didn't have that extra $50,000 at the end of it all, and we could have done it anyway. Again, I'm short-lived here, but that is my 2 cents.
So is that a second?
Yes, I second.
Then I'll call.
Can I ask another question before you vote?
Sure.
So for staff on either of these 2 projects, not to skip ahead to this next one, the timeline of completing these and what would a delay of 60 days cause on these projects, on the bids and the work that you did?
The dog park, we've got the bill.
Tony, you have it. The dog park equipment has actually already been ordered.
Yeah.
It's en route. We just, when we were looking at future plans for Bud Cross Park and just talking about urban renewal funding and some projects, it just wasn't an idea that came up to preserve those parks SDCs for Bud Cross. We have that future parking lot we want to build, and parks SDCs are extremely restricted funding. So it's just a way of maneuvering to pay for this dog park equipment. It was already approved in the last budget cycle. And like I said, it's already ordered. So we will need to pay for this within the next 2 weeks.
So.
No pressure.
What's the impact then?
I'll answer the second part, which is the lighting we want to try and have in place before Nature's Coastal Holiday, so October. So we have a little bit of time on that, not much. To order those light poles are generally, several weeks out. So, but we have a little bit more time on that to make a decision. I'd like to present that staff report regardless. But.
I'm understanding then that Bud Cross is project and what the work that's going on there is really in need of the funds that we currently have in SDCs. So was the plan from the beginning of staff moving forward for this to be from the parks budget?
This SDCs, you're talking about Bud Cross?
Yeah, no, this project that we're currently discussing, the Chetco Point Dog Park.
It was planned to be, we were planning to use SDCs for this, yes, Parks SDCs. But remember, we weren't funded fully on the Bud Cross project. So the portion that we're doing currently, there could be overruns on this project that we might need to tap into SDCs. But our big project is the development of the parking lot. And that is not, that property is not in their renewal district, and it's going to be an expensive project. So we want to try and hold on to our parks SDCs, what we have, and let them build up for when that project might occur. Could be 5 years down the road. I don't know. We could go for another grant again and be able to use parks SDCs to complete the project. But the amount of money that we have right now would only be good for a match. It's not enough to actually do the whole project. So it's pretty low on the funding because we used it on the ball field reconfiguration and stuff that, some really good projects at Azalea Park.
So was the thinking then that by keeping those funds in the parks SDCs, we would be able to move forward and complete those projects, and this could be funded through the Urban Renewal Agency? Yeah.
That was the hope, is to save SDCs for, like when you mentioned, projects in parks that are not in their renewal district.
So for me personally, when I think about the urban renewal funds, I try to think of it as the impact to our whole county and all of the districts that are putting their increases are set aside to do this. And the point of that is to really address blighted areas and improve funding. So, and these projects do fit within the urban renewal plan. I reviewed that just today, and so, anyways, just some more thoughts as we go ahead and call it to question.
Okay. Director Mulder.
What is the motion exactly?
I can restate the motion if it's wanted. Maybe I wasn't clear enough on that. But before we do, since we're still having discussion, if we were to defer funding this project at a later date, would we be able to go back and fund the project? Once we had more information, is that something that the urban? Maybe this is a question for Lori. Hey, Lori, if we were to defer funding this project and the city did move forward, because it sounds like they're maybe obligated at this point to continue forward with the purchase, could the Urban Renewal Agency then later agree to fund the project?
I think, Councilman Mulder, tentatively, yes. That's my answer, tentatively, yes, without knowing more about what the plan says about this project. But yeah, I think taking a pause or deferring is within, the power of the Renewal Board to do.
I'm understanding your question to be basically, could the Urban Renewal Agency reimburse the city for the expense if the city paid out of the SDC park fees, and then we do decide as an agency that we are going to fund that project? Could the funds then be reimbursed to the city? Were you understanding the question that way, Lori?
Oh, I was not. No, I'm sorry. I was having internet problems for a bit, so kind of cutting out for a bit. So I still think that would be allowable as long as it's tied to a legitimate purpose, under the urban renewal plan. I know I've seen, like when I was at Medford, I think the city spent money on things and then was reimbursed by the urban renewal district funds. But I would need to dig into it just to make sure. But I think legally, that seems like an okay one to do, yes.
And I believe we've done this in the past where we've done budget amendments at the very end of the year to cover these kinds of things where we've had, journal entries from where we have something that was pulled out of one fund that shouldn't have been, it was over here, so we're making these adjustments.
Like a reallocation
Yeah.
of where the fund, where it was funded from.
So I'd like to just clarify then my motion. I make a motion to pause the consideration of the funding of the dog park equipment purchase and benches.
And the lighting.
That's the next one, but
Oh, okay.
we can't discuss
That's
that
true.
yet.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But just until we have additional information to
I
consider.
second.
Okay, is there any more discussion, or should we call the question? Call the question.
Director Mofford,
Yes.
Director Gelada,
Yes.
Director Bolton,
Yes.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Chair Prada.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Item D2, Kidtown Parking Lot Lighting Project.
So this is a request.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
So we received a request from Nature's Coastal Holiday to consider installing parking lot lighting in Kidtown. You may recall a couple years ago when we did the rebuild of Kidtown, we rebuilt the parking lot also. We do have quite a bit of infrastructure in place there, which makes this project a lot more reasonable. So what you have in front of you is an estimate, a preliminary estimate of $25,000, and Nature's Coastal Holiday, I'm sorry, $18,300, and Nature's Coastal Holiday is willing to donate $5,000 towards the project. They've always been partners with the city when it comes to projects that impact them, and so I think that's great that they're doing this. They would have given more, but they had to spend their money on buying a building, so they don't have as much. They usually spend quite a bit on projects for us, or with us, partnering. I made the motion to not exceed $25,000 just in case, the preliminary estimate comes in more, which I would then bring it back to you if it was over 25. But I've attached their request and then just sort of a layout of where we plan on doing the work. Like I said, there's several poles there that exist. We're going to add a few new ones and light that parking lot up, which will be great for that event. Safety for little kids and.
And will these light poles be able to have lit decorations on them, unlike our main street?
That was not in the plan, but I mean, it wouldn't be hard to do, to put a receptacle on. They do get vandalized and damaged. We've experienced that, so that would be a challenge to be doing that. But yeah, it's doable.
I like the decorations on our light poles.
Really appreciate Nature's Coastal Holiday being such great partners with us over the years, and they contribute so much to this community. And anything we've invested in, with them in the past has paid back dividends. So just wanted to make that comment before I make a motion to pause. But I'll let you guys. I think you have a feeling about what I'm going to say next, so you guys go ahead and discuss.
Director Gelada?
I have no comments. No, I would support a pause, yeah.
Is this something that could be done like in September, October, or with the weather to still be done in time?
We have to order the light poles.
So a delay tonight, what is that going to mean for this project?
I anticipate that we're going to move forward with the project,
Yeah.
regardless of urban renewal funding.
Because I hope we're talking 60 days, tops.
Or less.
Yeah, or yes.
Yeah.
Well, given how our council schedule, it's the 60 days is probably more likely because, we don't have a meeting at the end of this month.
Yeah, we do a special meeting.
Special meeting, but not specifically for this urban renewal. We're not having another urban renewal meeting. So June.
No, sorry, June 8th.
Yeah, so it really,
Now you've got it.
But like I say, I don't think it's going to stop us moving forward with them, so.
It's a matter of
where the fund comes from, where the funding comes from is essentially the question. Yeah, I think the project as a whole is great. I appreciate that, the partnership also, and I think I think the safety of adding those lights is huge. I think it matters, especially around kid towns. So I do think it's a really important project. Are there any more comments or questions?
I'm just going to say that it was a good thing that you moved number 3 to the top.
Well, I just was looking at the projects on there and thinking, this might warrant some discussion before we move forward, so.
It was calculated, Andy, just so.
Okay. Is there any motions on the table?
I'd like to make a motion to pause the consideration of funding the Kidtown parking lot lighting project until further additional information is provided.
Is there a second?
It'd be funding through the urban renewal.
Yes.
But not funding the overall project.
Right.
I second.
Call the question.
Counselor Director,
Counselor?
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Holmberg,
Yes.
Director Bolton,
Yes.
Director Gelada,
Yes.
Chair Pareda.
Yes.
The motion carries.
That's our last item D. Let's move on to item E, agency remarks.
Sorry for poo-pooing on some of these ideas. I really appreciate all the hard work and effort that the city puts into this stuff, and I think that they're actually really great projects. I just want us to be able to have some opportunity to make some longer-term plans, and if we still decide that's within those, then, hey, I'm all for it. I think they're great projects, but anyway, just wanted to clarify on that.
I think when Brooklyn does the minutes, she's going to say pause, P-A-W-S. on the dog. Just for you, just for you. No, I'm just
Sad
kidding.
face, yeah. Do we have a date for the next urban renewal agency meeting? Were you talking about that, or?
No,
There
I thought you
will
would've said-
so the
The budget.
does have a URA component to it, so we will be having a URA meeting on June 27th. I do not know if that is enough time for staff for these questions, but that will be our next URA.
Director Martin?
Should make the next urban renewal agency meeting interesting.
Director Bolton?
Again, thank you for these awesome ideas. And of course, we all hope that these can go through. And if we can reimburse, if that's what comes down to it, I think it would be great if we have that kind of money left over. And I'm just really excited that we're finally getting to a place where we can get some answers for the urban renewal. And I can't wait to come back and visit whatever it is that you guys create.
Oh, and by the way, the dog park idea, Tony, the dog park idea is wonderful. The pictures, the stuff, that whoever found all that stuff, it'll be a wonderful enhancement.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say that given the discussion tonight, I would like to see Lori Cooper and staff move as quickly as possible in providing whatever details we can get to be able to make good, knowledgeable decisions. So I'd ask that get pressed forward with as quickly as reasonable while still being done thoroughly. And I appreciate staff's constant exploring and figuring out ways to fund the things that the community needs. It's challenging, it's ever more challenging, and so I'm really grateful that we have a staff that looks and tries to figure out outside of the box thinking within our limits of what we are legally able to do. So I appreciate that, I appreciate all the work, and I look forward to whatever we're able to accomplish and move forward on. Okay, if there's no more